Hi, everyone. Don't you love to get together with family and loved ones and share stories from the past? Who doesn't? In fact, in public speaking, potential speakers are told to capture their ideas in heartwarming or humorous stories that their audiences can relate to and especially connect to. Hasidic Rebbes are no different than we are in that respect. When they get together, Rebbes who are students and followers of the same Rebbe, they like to reminisce about the olden days when they got together and other instances. In fact, they tell a story about the time that the Rebbe Reb Abish and the Chidushei Arim met one another. Both had been strong students of the famous Reb Menachem Mendel of Kotsk, and it was natural for each to want to hear a sharp thought from the other, from the teachings of their Rebbe, and so they agreed to share thoughts with the Rebbe Reb Abish going first. The Rebbe Reb Abish began. Our Rebbe Reb Menachem Mendel noted that Avram Avinu is able to turn his guests into believers by having them recite Birkas Hamazon to he who provided the said food to them. What about us? Why does Birkas Hamazon not have any effect on us, supposed believers? The Chidushei Arim responded, before wondering why Birkat Hamazon doesn't inspire you, ask why the food doesn't inspire you itself. That even a donkey gets inspired by its food bag. Hence Yeshayahu's comment in this week's Haftorah, Yadashor koneu v'chamor evus ba'alav. An ox knows its owner, and a donkey is master's feedback. What about us? Now, is there a big difference between the thoughts of Rav Abish and the Chidushei Arim? And if so, what is it? I believe it comes down to an understanding of how we view our relationship with Hashem. Are we more banim, children to Hashem? Or are we more like avadim? Are we more like servants? You see, a child follows a parent's command because of the honor in the home and wants to align with the parent to show the kavod habayis, the honor to the home. A servant, on the other hand, obeys commands in order to get ahead himself. The Tzur Amor explained that when Hashem recognizes how well he knows Avram Avinu, the Torah tells us ki dativ. I know him laman asher yitzaves banaves beiso acharav, so that he will command his children and his home after him. V'shamru derech Hashem lasos stako mishpat, and they will observe the pathways of Hashem to do tzedakah and mishpat, righteousness and justice. Laman havi Hashem al Avraham is asher diber alav, so that Hashem could bring upon Avraham and his children that which he spoke concerning them. Tzur Amor notes that on an ideal level, the children of Avraham, you and me, will keep mitzvos because of the honor to Hashem keeping them provides. But at the very minimum, they will know the mitzvos because that is the way to get the brachos that Hashem promised Avraham. Here too, the Kutzker wondered how it could be that one could not be inspired by the commandment to offer Birkat Hamazon. Like children to a parent, we're obligated to offer gratitude. Indeed, the Ramban notes that he or she who has no gratitude is not a person. And yet Yeshayahu notes, Bonim gidalti v'romamti. I raised children. I lifted them up. V'heim pashubi. And they sinned against me. It was to this that the Ger Rebbe, the Chidushei Arim, added that while the inspiration of Birkat Hamazon requires one to recognize and respond to Hashem's chesed, the act of eating is naturally inspiring without any work on our part. Just think about all the different ways that we eat. The different food cuisines, the cooking styles, the implements, hand, chopstick, fork. How does one not simply see Hashem and our connection to him? Even a donkey gets that. And what is our answer? Yisrael lo yada. The Jewish people doesn't know. Ve'ami lo hisponam. My nation didn't consider. Let me add, the people didn't know because we didn't consider. The Alter of Kelm notes that there's a difference between knowing yediyah and considering hisponan. Knowing is something that requires no effort. When we see something, we ought to know it. The only reason we do not is because our Yetzer Hara doesn't allow us to see accurately. The antidote to that is contemplation, bina salev. Knowing's half the battle. Internalizing, now that's the other half. You know, we marveled at the weather, whether it's the extreme heat, the flash rainstorms, but do we think about Hashem's hand in all of it? We read the news, the good, the bad, the ugly, But are we reading it the way Hashem wants us to read the newspaper? Are we seeing his hand in daily events the way that he wants us to? Are we reacting to them appropriately? Will we be using these 9 days and the Tisha B'Av with all of the lessons and all of the perspectives of Jewish history and story that highlight not only Hashem's power and destruction, but also attention to detail, and promise not to totally annihilate us, as a means to improve our awareness of Hashem and his expectations for us, and as a means for us to consider what we might want to do as a result? It's not that we don't know, it's that we stopped noticing. We say brachos out of habit, we eat without thought, and we live without marvel. Maybe the Kedusha Arim wasn't answering Rav Abish. Maybe he was completing his sentence. Why doesn't Birkat HaMazon or any of the mitzvos move us? Because we didn't let the food or the experience move us. We're not animals. We don't just eat. We reflect, we sanctify, and we elevate. But only if we slow down and contemplate. And that's the difference between Yada and Hisbonenus, between information and transformation. You already know that Hashem gave you the food, but do you feel it? And does it change you? That's the takeaway. Not just to say Birkat HaMazon, but to live it. To turn meals into moments and nourishment into nearness to Hashem. Because Chamor Evus Ba'alav, a donkey knows the feedback. But we, with all our Torah, all our stories, our Rebbeim, our Seichel, we should know even more. And by the way, we shouldn't just know. We should consider. We should internalize. And when we say thank you, Hashem, we should say thank you, Hashem, like we mean it. We've been through a lot, and will continue to highlight that and hallmark it as we continue on the trajectory of Jewish destiny. But in order for us to achieve that destiny, we need to stop and figure out just how we got here and thank Hashem in the process. Wishing you and yours a Shabbat Shalom and a Shabbat Shalom to all.